The history of humanity has been marked by violence and competition. And for as long as we have known violence and competition, we have been praying to evolve past it. And right now, it seems like that might actually be happening, even though that's not necessarily what it looks like in the world. Hi, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Ariana, and as a Rani, I give human design readings and initiations. I'm a human design analyst and a living your design guide. And in this video series, I've been giving my insights and perspectives on the mutation that human design tells us is happening right now. This mutation will complete around 2027, and from that point on, people will start being born that have a different way of being human than we do. So there are several aspects of being human that will start to disappear, which for us right now is unimaginable because those aspects of being human are inherent to our experience of being human right now. But they are slowly fading away. And that's the big conflict and confusion that we are experiencing in the world right now, where we are evolving into that new experience of being human, but there are also parts of us that are still holding on to that old way, to those old primal fears, those old primal habits. Those seem vital and essential to being alive. So the feeling that they are disappearing is very scary, because then what is it like? How is the world going to function if we don't have these principles that we experience as fundamental to being human? And what I've been trying to communicate in this series is that actually without those aspects of being human, we might actually do quite well. We might actually create a world that is more evolved, that is more natural, that is more in tune with a deeper awareness that we are capable of. But that is hard for us to imagine right now. We only know life the way it is now, and if we cannot imagine what it will be like without these aspects of humanity that we experience as fundamental, then how can the unknown be something good? And that's what I've been trying to communicate in these past few videos, that change might actually be good. There might be actually really something to this new way of experiencing being human, that we just can't imagine yet, because we are still very much having one foot in the old way, even though many of us also have one foot in the new way. And that's kind of the split, the conflict, the chaos that we are experiencing it right now, that we are feeling the value of the old ways. It did something for us, while also feeling like we want to move on to a different world. We want to create something new. And these two are really pulling at each other, wanting to hold on to what we know, what we value, and wanting to keep going, wanting to progress, wanting to evolve. There's no right way. There's no better way. One or the other isn't better. It's just that we are moving on. It is happening. It is just a given of time and space that we are moving through it. And so it's going to be happening. Things are changing. They are changing as we speak, and a lot of about our world can be contributed to that change. And we've been talking about how that change comes in different stages. There are different mutations that take place that affect each other like a domino effect. And now we are talking about the fourth stage, and this is kind of the natural progression of all the stages, where they all have to do with the neutralizing of the emotional wave. You know, the emotional center, the solar plexus center in our human design is evolving into a center of pure emotional awareness. So instead of an emotional motor that drags us along into emotional experiences, it is going to be a center of awareness, of presence within that emotional wave. So it's going to be much more restful. It's going to be much more aware. It's going to be much more present, which means that experiences in life are no longer going to drag us along. We are no longer going to have to step into illusions or play out scenarios in order to experience something, in order to learn something from them. We can simply be a witness to our awareness as it is happening right now. And that brings a lot more calmness, a lot more presence, a lot more neutrality, harmony to the human experience. And that's kind of what all these stages are a progression of. And this fourth final stage has to do with violence and competition. Because, well, like I said, violence has been something inherent to humanity for pretty much as long as we can look back at humanity. But it's not going to be as inherent anymore. And that is because we are going to land in the truth of nature, which is that nature isn't a competition. Nature is cooperation. So we have, you know, the evolutionary theory talks about how nature is competition, survival of the fittest. But that is how we interpret it from our perspective, because that experience of competition is relevant for us, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is relevant for all of nature. We experience when one species beats another one, when one species survives and the other one goes extinct, we experience that as competition. But from the perspective of the earth, from the perspective of nature, it's not competition. It's simply the natural wave of life. So because we have put this lens of competition on it, we have been experiencing competition with nature, with each other, with animals, with the land, the territory that we've been claiming as our own. We have been experiencing life as a fight, as we have to fight for our space. To be able to survive, we have to beat other things that are also alive in order to have our place in this world. And this goes directly against this basic principle of nature, which is that everything is cooperation, everything is living harmoniously together. As extreme and as intense as that might be and look sometimes, still there is just a peace, a recognition of love, and that everything is right. That's inherent to it. And we're going to be able to tune into that much more once we let go of that idea of competition. And we will be able to let go of that idea when we don't have any need for it anymore. And we have and had the need for competition and therefore for violence, because we don't have that connection to that truth of nature. We see nature and we are in awe of it. How can this happen? How can this be? We are just simply overwhelmed by what nature is. And we cannot make sense of it in our heads. We cannot understand how it works. But with our newly evolved emotional awareness, we will be able to tune into a similar awareness in nature. And we will be able to feel that truth of the egalitarian nature of the world around us. And because we are no longer in awe, because we don't feel no longer that we are looking up to something, we also will not feel the need to look down on other things. We will be able to simply let things be what they are. There is no need for competition and for violence when everything is equal, when everything is in harmony with one another, and we can, without fighting, take our place within that whole. Because that's what we've been lacking. We've been lacking that sense of unity, that sense that we are a part of it. We don't really consider ourselves part of nature. We consider ourselves higher or below it. We consider ourselves outside of it. But once we have that emotional awareness fully evolved, we will be able to start recognizing that, yes, we are a part of it. We're not outside of it, not below, not above it. We are it. Everything is one and is connected. And then we don't have to compete with nature, with animals, or with each other. Then we don't have to commit violence against each other, against animals, or against nature. Because why would you? Why would you harm yourself? Why would you damage yourself? Why would you take away from yourself? That doesn't make sense once you truly land in that deeper truth of what nature is and who we are. And I suspect, as I'm talking about this, that this is something that you might recognize, because this very awareness is already alive in us. It is already evolving within us. It's not complete yet, but it is very much present. And we can experience it in the communities where we feel at home. We can experience it with the people that feel like our people, because those are the people who are already on their way towards this deeper emotional awareness. We are already feeling it. We are already tasting it. We have already felt it landing within us. And every day that we are alive, we can experience it evolving within us. And that's the beautiful thing about this mutation. It's not a sudden change. It's a very gradual change. So this egalitarian way of life, it won't be implemented suddenly. We will slowly but surely evolve into it, probably over the coming several hundred years, because we've already been working towards it for several hundred of years before. So it will probably take a while for us to really land in this new form of emotional awareness. And that is something that we are noticing in the world right now, where there's something about the old that feels like it is no longer going to be relevant. And so it's acting out. It's working really hard to keep us there. That's what happens when a mutation happens. When a mutation happens, the existing structure fights the mutation tooth and nail, and it shows itself in all its potential. It brings out all the stops. It shows exactly, oh, this is why I'm great. This is what I'm capable of. It shakes the world to continue to be relevant, to continue to exist. So that the mutation has to really be strong. It has to really be relevant, and it has to really be fertile to be able to flourish amidst that environment of just enemies. Like everything is against that mutation. But those who represent the mutation, those who have the mutation within them, they are strong enough to survive that. And they are moved exactly by that resistance from the outside to really hold on tightly to that truth that they feel within them, and to say, oh, you can bring everything, but it is all a show of weakness. It is a show of something old that is disappearing. And this is what I am telling myself currently for years now, as I watch the world around me rage and thunder in trying to maintain this old system that is clearly not working, that is making people very unhappy, that is creating a very dark and toxic environment for pretty much all people to live in. And within that, I focus on that truth and that love of who humanity truly is and what we are truly capable of. Because we are that unity. We are one with nature. And as much as we try to fight it, nature will never let itself be defeated by us. And it will never stop embracing us and bringing us into the fold. And that's the movement that we get to join. We get to let ourselves be embraced by nature. We get to let ourselves be embraced with the power of Mother Earth, to say and to be alive for that way of truth and that way of love. And that has been my intention with this series, to really talk to you and to encourage you to keep going with whatever it is that you're doing, because you are taking in a space in this world that is so important that you take it in. You're part of something bigger. You're part of something beautiful. And as much as the world is fighting us right now, it is only a sign that something is going very right. So we all feel isolated right now because we're all falling back into our individuality. We all have to make these decisions for ourselves. We all have to come back into our personal, individual life experience and feel like we can really only rely on ourselves as we make the decision, the conscious decision out of our free will to evolve. So as we are feeling that isolation, know that that isolation isn't the problem. It is a sign that something is happening and something is evolving. And then to take that isolation and use it to your advantage so that it can let those things that support us and make us strong come alive. That I can see already we are taking steps towards really, from that place of individuality, finding each other again. Because then when we find each other, we really connect. Not because we have to, not because we need to survive, but because we really enjoy it, because we can really feel this is true for me. This is a connection that is mutually beneficial. This is a connection that makes me a little bit more whole and you a little bit more whole. And this is a connection that we can make purely out of our free will, purely because we intend to do exactly what is true for us. If this is something you experience, if this is something you recognize, feel very much invited to reach out. I'm very happy to talk more with you about it, to answer your questions if you have any. So you can leave a comment, you can send me a message, and then I will meet you there. I'll be sure to make more videos about this specifically, about everything that is related to it, about other aspects of human design that I'm very much excited to talk about. So you can also communicate to me about it, about something you would like to hear more about. And because if I receive a question, it's like putting a coin in a slot machine. A whole bunch of stuff is going to start rolling out. So yeah, please send me your questions if you have any. And then I will see you in another video or in any other way.